like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. Wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grid 6 feet like Kenny.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electronic, blow the sonic roof up. I'm too honest when I take a few shots. They're too toxic, need to take a new song.
And you cannot save me, cause I don't need saving. It's everything I've been chasing, all here for the taking.
Don't wanna test your luck with me. I think I've had enough disease. I'm sick of all the bad thoughts, people who are half-nots.
You were not as tough as
I'm back, you know that I never left. I got tracks and some music that you never guessed. I don't slack, don't lose, learn your lesson yet. When I get to choose what I do, I'm like a weapon. I'm not sharp as many, but got hard, I'm ready to change scars to envy, to win large and plenty. I like to play fast, never change back. Calling out, I'll pay back, cause I'm great at that. Oh.
You cannot save me, cause I don't need saving. It's everything I've been chasing, all here for the taking.
Don't wanna test your luck with me. I think I've had enough disease. I'm sick of all the bad thoughts, people who are half-nots.
you were not as tough as
Don't wanna test your luck with me. I think I've had enough disease. I'm sick of all the bad thoughts, people who are half-nots, who are not as tough as me. Don't wanna test your luck with me. I think I've had enough disease. I'm sick of all the bad thoughts, people who are half-nots, who are not as tough as me.
Yo, all these thoughts keep me up at night, yeah. What am I doing, did I do it right, yeah. All these thoughts keep me up at night, yeah. I can't think straight, need the light. I need to breathe, get me up and out of the sheets. Under my feet, another cup of coffee and me. That's what I need, my eyes puffy, I can't see. I'm too tired to function, but too lost to sleep. Ay, I think I need to be on something medication. I think I need to figure out the segregation. I think I needed just a better education to understand a world that's so complicated, intoxicated. painted, every night faded, just so I can sleep thinking that it's Satan. I feel hated, I feel hatred, I'm lost deep in my mind that I've created. I have dreams where my life is devastated, feel so real that I wake up shaking. Need thicker skin cause this life is no haven. Nod your head if you get what I'm saying. All these thoughts keep me up at night, yeah. What am I doing, did I do it right, yeah. All these thoughts keep me up at night, yeah. I can't think straight, need the light, yo. All these thoughts keep me up at night, yeah. What am I doing, did I do it right, yeah. All these thoughts keep me up at night, yeah. I can't think straight, need the light.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony.
This is the always positive Gaston.
Super positive Gaston. And Kevin is in the background working on our technical stuff. So with us, we have Paul from Tried and True. Paul, how you doing, man?
Hey, thank you for having me, Tony. It's Gaston, good to see you. It's been a pleasure. It's great.
Yeah, dude, we're so excited you're on. So I guess if you have not heard of Tried and True before, Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Okay, yeah, sure. So Tried and True started off as a project that I was trying to kind of work up. So back like post-pandemic when all the different like war gaming communities kind of like got fractured and stuff. Myself and my brother-in-law Andy, and I said like, hey, let's go play at alternate universes. It's a store, it's like, 10 minutes from us, and we started playing, and then it eventually kind of bloomed and blossomed into a little wargaming community. We have about anywhere on the good nights, we have like 12 to 14 players playing. Recently,
Pretty
we
good.
actually started getting 40K players as well, like coming. But like one of the guys, like, hey, I played this back in Mark 1. It's like, hey, Mark 4's coming, so you want to come play with us again? He's like digging up his old Signar models. Like, I had Soul Knights. I'm like, all right, yeah, it's good, it's good.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, so at least with that, my daughter was going to be born in April, and I kind of came to my friend Dan, and eventually I invited Eric and Andy on it because we kind of all like worked on it together.
Mhm.
And it was like a 5 episode series of saying like, hey, this is how you can kickstart your meta, what you can do to host your first steamrollers, engage with other communities, try to find a place to call your own. And from there it kind of exploded. After that, Erica started doing her she pitched an idea for doing battle reports, and like, hey, that's pretty cool because Arcane Assists I don't think was putting out anything at the time, and
Mhm.
we were inspired by you guys with all your old battle reports as well. It's like, hey, let's go and try to put that. So Andy and I did a Sevi versus Kalissa game, and it kind of really took off from there. And yeah, we have our YouTube channel, Tried and True, and we also have our podcast. We're under Muse on Minis. Sorry, we're under More Than Dice, which is under Muse on Minis.
Okay,
And
I
that's
was like, oh, switching them up. That's all right, cool.
yeah, it's good. But yeah, no, it's great. It's an awesome opportunity.
Nice, man. That's really exciting. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So obviously, we had played for a long time, and then I was really excited seeing, the meta start shifting up. We talked about earlier that the Maryland group started coming up between Sam and Ryan. They really got it up, and then they connected with you all, and then through all these other sorts of fun events, Kevin and I end up jumping into your guys' Discord that you guys have for the Delaware meta. And kind of going back and forth while we were talking, and then actually that's what we're going to jump to talk about with Pax Unplugged, right? Is that um, I think I was asking around, asking if anyone had reached out to PAX, see if that there was any tournaments going on because I didn't see anything. And then with you and I talking, I ended up just shooting off an email to them, and they allowed us to get a spot. So we have a 32-person event that's going to be at PAX Unplugged on December 3rd. We're going to start at 10:30 in the morning. So, and kind of from there, right? We were like, hey, we're going to do all this. It's really exciting. And the Tried and True cast has really jumped in to help us with getting everything set up, which is, Paul, why we have you on here today to kind of talk about not just that, but we're also going to talk about Dusk.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah. So, Paul being super organized, unlike me, because I am not organized in the least. I actually came up with a couple of different things we could talk about, right? And it kind of just, we're going to go over a little bit of list of questions, right? Like, hey, what are we doing? All this other stuff. So the big thing I'll start off with, right, is that we're going to do 3D terrain, right? So we've been working really hard between myself, Paul, a bunch of the other people, building terrain for PAX Unplugged. So every table is going to be all 3D terrain. Some of them are going to be 2.5D, so we can actually lift up and you can see the 2D terrain underneath. We're going to work towards that throughout the next couple of years, try to get all of the terrain like that. But at least we'll have some set terrain. And then the goal is that we're gonna come in at 10 o'clock in the morning. By the time you guys all get there, everything will be set up. We're gonna do registration till about 10:30, and the goal is we're gonna start rolling dice at 10:30. It is 50-point lists, which Paul, like we kind of went back and forth on deciding what we were gonna do, and if we are gonna do 35, which I don't think either of us thought 35. I think 50 was the smallest at the time. We were talking about 75, 100, and we kind of landed on 50 just because it felt like a good small number, right? This is before we saw any real rules for anything else besides like the battle box.
Well, there's another reason to go along with that is another reason to go along with it is that if we're doing a 32-person event at 50 points in one day, that I think we'd be able to accommodate a 32-person event. Because I think right now we said that the clock, there is going to be a clock associated with it. They're going to be half hours for each player, so you're going to have an hour to go play your game, and that's going to allow for all 5 of those games to be able to be played at that time. We were doing 75 or 100, like we'd be there over 2 days, so
Yeah.
it would be on the scope.
Yeah, and I think that's what it would have been. We would have had to like cut to top 8 or whatever, like
Yeah.
probably done 3 one day and then 2 the next day to cut the top 8 so we can, or cut to top 4 or something like that so we could continue that. Yeah, so I think we made the right call with doing a 50 point.
And I
So
mean, there's also a learning curve thing as well there, where I think the 50 point helps you over 75 points.
and that's true, right? Like we've talked a lot about how the game is a lot faster. Well, Kevin and I played and ended up taking almost 4 hours to play our game just because we were referencing rules and trying to figure out what to do, and we were also like bullshitting a lot. But so yeah, so at least with us, right? So Pax Unplugged is going to be on clock. We're going to do a death clock. As of right now, it's half-hour turns. So I believe the entire round is 100 and no, about an hour and 20 minutes, I think. So 80 minutes long. So we did 2 half hours and then an extra 20-minute, I think, buffer.
Yeah, the buffers for you to go and report your scores, set up next scenario, move to the next table, so we're able to move on there. I think there's also, if I have to go look at the schedule, but I think there's also a lunch break or a dinner break. A dinner break is in there.
Yeah,
So
we put a
have
dinner
that.
break in there.
We understand that it's very important for y'all to eat. We want you to eat, so it's like, go make sure you're hydrated and taking that nutrition.
Exactly, yeah. And just like Kevin said in the chat, when I say not organized in lease, I'm literally meaning not organized. I have to other people keep things organized for me. I talk, man. I'm not great at I know my weaknesses, and that's being organized, which is terrible if you're a TO, right? But I've managed so far. At least I don't think any of my events in the past were that bad. I don't know. Kevin and Gaston have been to a lot of them, and Kevin can't talk right now. So, yeah, so we're good on that.
Tony's a very good TO. He's a very, very good TO.
So all right, yeah. So there's that. So I guess Jesus Christ, I'm drawing a blank. Paul. So I have the questions you brought up, so I'm just gonna read one off at a time. Do you want to alternate kind of what you had talked about?
I mean, we can do that, or however you want to go do it, man. It's good.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess the first one was right. So what would we do if they missed the deadline for the Mark IV Steamroller rules, right? So the goal is that Mark IV is the Steamroller is supposed to be out on November 30th. So if it comes out on November 30th, we're going to be using that Steamroller packet. So it's going to be kind of a tight timeline for anyone coming to say, hey, you're going to read the packet. If you have any questions, obviously you can either message Advanced Maneuvers or Tried and True, and we can go and answer those for you. If they do not have it out by the 30th, then we will do Mark. Or I guess if they don't have it out by that
packets.
What?
Make your own.
Oh,
Then
make our
we
own.
will
Just
Make
make our
your
own.
own. I'm just whispering.
I would say
I'm just
then we
whispering
will,
in his ear.
then we'll do Mark III, right? Then we'll do the Mark III rule set. So we'll make sure that's announced, so we have that and everything. And then also, right, like if there's not the full player, right, we're hoping for 32 people. As of right now, we have 10 signed up, so it's still pretty early. We still have like another week or so. But hey, if we don't have everyone signing up, then we'll adjust the schedule, right? Obviously, we're not going to go 5 rounds. We're going to go to last person standing, right, to undefeated. So that's going to be what the goal is, and I think that'll still end up pretty well. And if hey, we end with 16 people signed up, that's really good because Pax Unplugged hasn't had an event, didn't have an event last year. They were shut down for 2 years before that. and then before that, I think was Mark III stuff. So yeah, so we will get how many people we want, and we'll keep building the meta up for us, which is nice.
What's that?
Hey Paul, so what do you think are some of the prizes we can expect?
Okay, so we got a lot of different cool things. So you already mentioned that we talked to Privateer Press. We ended up having the Orgoth battle box. So you'll be with the Harusk, your Tyrant, and your Jackal. So if you missed that opportunity, you'll be able to grab one of those for the raffles. We have two of the Alexia, the new Alexia models, the ones that were done during longest wait. So we have those, and then a bunch of other stuff. So like because of the Delaware Warmachine and we run our steamrollers or our events, we accumulate like prize support that people have like donated over time or something we've picked up over ourselves. So we have a couple of things like I think like what is it, like the Gator War Beast kit,
Yeah.
just a bunch of different like models and kits and stuff like that. And I think what we ended up deciding, if I remember correctly, is that uh we'll be ending up giving out tickets for the players that are played. And I think we said two, but
Gross.
we're going to two. As well as additional tickets. I believe you have a fully painted army. You'll get an additional ticket. And how the raffles work is that you'll be able to put that ticket into any of those prizes. So at a certain point, we'll go ahead and do the raffle. I think that we're going to be doing it like around the dinner break, I think is what the timeline says right now.
Yep.
And then that way you can go ahead and get those models. So if you're the only ticket that puts it in for the Gator War Beast, like congratulations, you walk away with the Gator War Beast. And then we have the painted model competition. So it's a huge base model as well as a small, medium, large. The prizes for that is that we got two Army Painter wet palettes. Pretty certain that those who are really good at painting might already have a wet palette. Might be a good, holiday gift to go give to somebody. Or if you want a second one, you want a second one. And then finally, at least for everyone that's going to be coming, I end up getting these custom tokens made. So we got see if I can get like the camera to work on that. That works. So you got Pax Unplugged 2022 on the one side, and then this is the first Mark IV beta steamroller. So you got that to look forward to as well. So it's a 40 millimeter base. You'll be able to go ahead and use it as a proxy. You use it as a feed token, whatever. So you come to PAX, you get that token, and you'll have a good time.
Yeah, which would be pretty awesome. Like we're really excited about that. That was definitely something where Paul, like Tried and True, they did that in some of the other events that they did. So this is really cool that we have that. So yeah, please come, take a look, play the game. We're also gonna have a demo table set up where people walk past and want to learn how to play. We'll have a little demo set up so we can show new people how to play to go get more people into this awesome game that you guys are sitting here listening to us babble about.
Hey,
S-
Tony, I actually had a question for you.
yeah.
Did you see that recent pre-order form, the thing about they said something about like steamroller defenses or whatever it is, like the spike trap or the powder keg and stuff?
No, I haven't. What about those?
Okay, so I have to go double check. I don't have the order up there, but I think there's like four different defenses. They say everybody needs to go ahead and use them. What do you think is going to happen, in the event that Mark IV Steamroller says we need to go ahead and have these? How do you think we'll handle it?
So let me think about that. So honestly, I think what I would say is that we're still trying to figure that out, right? Because we don't have the rules for the Mark IV, right? We don't know what's going to be expected, anything like that, right? So if we need something like I would say if we just got the information at the time you did, like we're still trying to figure out the best experience. So I would say that if it says that you need to have that, we on our end will try to have as much as we can. Please try to bring those things if you have anything similar to that, but we'll kind of have to play it by ear. Unless you got something else, Paul.
I mean, look, felt terrain goes a long way. We're finding out the information the same time that everyone else is. If we have to do felt and say like, okay, this little circle is going to be your powder keg or however it ends up working, I don't know. I just saw it. I'm like, we have to make powder kegs and spike traps now. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll make it work. It'll be fine. Again, we're going to PAX to have a good time, to have fun. push little metal dolls on the table and enjoy each other's company. So
And the thing is, right, like you said, this is a beta, right? This is the beta steamroller. So we're still trying to figure it out, as you all are. I guess next question is, right, what will happen if a player is late? Paul, why don't you take that one?
okay, so right now we want to keep it being the same, that we said that the 10:30 is the start time for it. So in the event that a player is late, if it is a single player and that it's an odd number of players, right? And they're the odd person out, then I mean we just give them the bye at that point. But if it ends up being that they end up having an opponent, um, we'll just say that the clock will be running at that time. So if it's a 30-minute clock, like after the person deploys, the clock will just go down at that point. That's the only way that I can think that it could be fair. So I'm just saying is that make sure that if you're coming to PAX, like if you have not gone to PAX before, you have to understand the line is really, really long. Like you're going to be waiting for about, Tony, you've been there before. It's like you're going to be in there for like about like 15, 20 minutes, at least when I got there. It was a bit of a long wait. So just expect that you want to get there early so that way you can get to the spot on time, have a place to see where you are, drop your models off, maybe go grab something to eat or something in
Yeah,
there.
and like I like this how everyone, right? PAX Unplugged is kind of like a mini Gen Con, right? It is definitely smaller feel. I'd say probably it's about a third of the size. That's probably even less than that, probably maybe like a quarter of the size. In the sense that there's like a lot of stuff to do there, right? But a lot of people are trying to go in there. Every year they're expanding. They did great for the first 3 years, right? Kind of building everything up. And then when COVID hit, they kind of lost all their traction. So this is their second year back after COVID. So they're trying to figure things out. And with last year, we had you had to go deal with all of the COVID vaccines and stuff like that they had to show, and if you had a passport beforehand to go get it in. So yeah, make sure you show up early. It's the same thing as if you do any other tournament. If you're going to any other gaming convention, you're gonna need to show up a little bit earlier. They last year at least, I don't think you could get to the gaming halls before the official con opened. I could change this year, but I haven't seen anything different from that.
Yeah. And then, hey Tony, at least for the write up on PAX Unplug, it says one list format. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, so again, we haven't seen the beta rules, right? So I would assume that we are going to do one list required. Obviously, you need a list to play, and then the second list is going to be optional unless if the rules dictate something different. So I know on the site it does say one list. That was supposed to be one list required, second list optional. I'm still trying to get that changed.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
one,
it
one
is
other
that.
question, just as you're trying to figure things out in scheduling, are you going to be looking to use clocks also?
Yes, we are. We're going to do death clocks. So we're going to do death clocks. Everyone's going to have their own death clock, 30 minutes. We're providing those clocks, and then there's going to be a round timer for 100 for an hour and 20 minutes total. So, and whenever after we announce the pairings, that's when we will say the round clock has started. To encourage people to go and get to your tables, get set up, and then you start deploying on clock like any other tournament.
Yep.
I think that's all the questions, unless we got something else.
Oh no, there was one more. Let's say that we have 16 players come, and they say like, hey, we have 16 players, not 32. Could we bring more models? Potentially do a 75 or 100.
I think we need to see, right? I think that's more like, hey, bring extra models if you want to. We can always go and adjust that. If we only have
Sure.
10 people and everyone wants to go and do that, like I'm not opposed to that at all. I feel like 50 point is the sweet spot for right now, just because we're also trying to learn the game, we're trying to learn the tournament and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I
Especially if it
agree
comes
with
out
that.
on the 30th, right? Like if it comes out on
Yeah.
the 30th, that is a quick time to learn how to do the scenario as well as playing a 75. I'm not saying it's impossible, but we will kind of figure out that.
Yeah. So like just if you want to bring extra models, by all means bring extra models. I'm gonna probably have like some stuff myself. I'll have up to like 100 points of stuff, but I'm not going there expecting to play 100. I'm expecting to play my 50 at that
Yeah,
point. So.
I'll probably
Are
bring
you,
up the 75.
regardless of like the scenario, are you all going to be doing player place terrain Mark IV style?
So I think that we have to go and take a look at what the guidance is in the packet is going to end up saying, if the players are going to go ahead and create it, or if that we're going to set up the tables ahead of time. Maybe it'd be something that we set up some terrain that has to stay on the table, and then the players can grab like, I don't know, like 1 to 2 pieces off to the side, and they can add those things. So at least we can force there being like a line of sight blocking thing or something like that, like in the table. But I don't know yet because we don't know what that packet looks like.
You know, I do actually like that option, is putting 1 or 2 pieces that are required to be on there, and everything else is player placed.
I think at that point, because again, if we're going with the idea of themed tables, at least it still is like, okay, like if we do a train yard, these trains are here. They are going to stay here. You get these other pieces that you want to play with, by all means go for it. But you know, that's what that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
What's wrong, Gaston? You like that rhyme?
Still not me.
Oh.
It was me again. You're not even looking at me.
The mic is covering your mouth. I can't see it.
It's like a ventriloquist.
I know.
Every time, like, you think I'm making a commentary, and I'm not.
That's sure, yeah. That, and like if Kevin ever talks to us, you know, no one on this stream can hear us, so that always throws me off as well.
Kevin's too sexy to talk to us.
It's true. He's above us. So, anyways, yeah. So, huh?
No, it's okay. Go on. Keep going.
No, I'll say so. That is kind of what we're talking about with Pax Unplugged, right? So it's going to be definitely myself. Paul's going to be there. Kevin's going to come up as well. So 3 of us will be there. We have another person from the Owls gaming group that's going to come up and help us.
It's Rob. It's Rob.
Rob's going to come up and help us as well. We're going to have tables set up. So please come. Come and see us, right? And if you come, you play a game, you'll get one of those fancy 40mm tokens. Yeah, and we're gonna have fun. Like I said, with the raffles, right? Every round you play, you're gonna get 2 raffles. You can go put 2 raffle tickets, you put it in there, and we're gonna go raffle some stuff off, right? The goal is to go make this as fun as possible. Obviously, one person's gonna be the winner. Whoever goes on the feed is also gonna get the PAX Unplugged medal as well for first place. And then hopefully this sets us up where, you know, if we get a lot of interest and we start seeing more, right, we obviously want to do more stuff, right? So there could be a route for the future. We do more and more events at PAX Unplugged. We kind of just really need to see. For me, I love PAX Unplugged. It's an hour and a half away from my house. It's really easy. I can kind of get up there, drive back home at the night, which is always fun. So I'd love to see PAX continue on with more Warmachine stuff, but
Yeah.
that's only important if people want to go to it.
No, Tony, I actually agree with that 100% because this is like the first time you're having a Warmachine event in a real long time. And honestly, this is to gauge interest. You know, we're trying to see how popular this event would be. And if we have enough people, we don't know what this would end up looking like next year. So, you know, again, I'm just looking into it, having a good time. It'll be fun. You know, you can go, you have the Star Wars Legion tables hanging out. You get the Warhammer guys like over on there. It's nice to have some representation as well.
Oh
So
yeah, and I know like Star Wars Legion's pretty huge there right now. They're giving away tickets to Las Vegas, I think, if they win in there.
that's pretty
We're
cool.
not quite at that point, right? We're not giving away any plane tickets to Warfare Weekend quite yet.
No, we broke.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Hey Tony, I'm gonna pop in here so they can actually hear me for a half second. If somebody comes to PAX Unplugged and has their army bag in the trunk of their car, but they didn't sign up for the tournament, are there going to be any like open tables, like Iron Arena style, where they could play at?
So at least so yes and no. So yes, there's normally tables spread throughout, right, where you can go and play Iron Arena style if you find someone else. What I will say is for the day of the tournament, I would definitely come, right? Bring your models, right? Because you can either jump into the tournament, right? We have 32 spots. Chance we probably won't fill all of them this first year. That'd be amazing if we do. But also, we'll still have those tables that we had reserved already. So we'll have 16 tables, at least for that whole day, that you can come and go play a little bit if you want to. Other than that, normally there are always open tables at PAX Unplugged where you can just go bring an army and go play.
No, 100%. That's what Erica, Andy, myself ended up going last year, and I think we also had one of our locals, David, end up meeting us up there as well. And no, like you can bring your models, it's there. Just giving you all a heads up if you don't know about how it's set up, at least how it was last year. Is that there's like a little like coat check-in area that they have. It costs a little bit of money. I don't remember the price. I don't know if it was like $7 or $12 or whatever it was, but you can hold your models there if you want to go like, you know, put them there, walk around the con and go take a look at some stuff. I'm gonna see if we can actually kind of keep all the bags in our area, so you don't have to, do that cost. And then
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have enough space. Maybe we push them under the tables or something like that. But yeah, just give me all a heads up about that.
What about if like Mark IV Curious demos, things like that planned?
Yeah, sounds like you didn't hear me earlier today. I'm really offended by this. Yes, we're gonna have a demo table set up as well. So there's gonna be a demo table set up for the side. It's gonna be the new Signar versus I believe we're gonna have your Orgoth there, Paul, right? You said you might bring those?
Yeah, I'll bring them.
Perfect. So we'll have that set up so you can kind of see what the rules are. And that's honestly to encourage other people, right? If they're walking past, they see this, right? What's going to be nice, different from years past, right? Is instead of 2D terrain, we're going to have nice 3D terrain, right? So, and some themed tables. So we're going to hope to try to pull more people in. We can show them the new rules, right? Maybe they played in Mark 1, they played in Mark 2, they dropped out of Mark 3, now they're looking at Mark 4. We can show them the models, we can show like how the pieces come apart, show them the new app that it's all free, and try to get more people playing and run a demo game. So we're hoping to get as much engagement as possible.
Hey, Tony, I actually had a question. This wasn't one that was posed earlier, but something maybe we to think about. In the event that the tournament runs later than we're expecting, let's say that it's supposed to be a 5-round
Mhm.
event, but we only have enough time to really run 4 rounds because if we run that 5th round, we're going to like when PAX is wrapping up for the day. How do you think we're going to go handle that?
So we will probably look at what the tiebreakers are in the tournament packet to see how we would dictate potentially who wins.
Okay.
Either that or we do ship captain crew to find out who gets first place. Which, if you never played Ship Captain Crew, it is a
What
fun dice.
is
I don't know what
that?
that is. I just
It's a
agree to it. I'm like, okay, it sounds like fun.
it's a dice game. You have you roll to get a ship, a captain, and a crew. I think it's you roll 3 dice. I gotta double check. It's like 4 dice, something like that. And then you have to get a 6, 5, and 4s. And after you get the 6, that's like your ship. 5 is your captain, and then you got to roll to get your crew, which I think is like 3. So whoever rolls and gets that first is the one who wins. I gotta look it up because I might have just butchered that, but it's
Okay.
it's an older game that I've seen some people play to determine events.
Okay. I
Now I need to
think
go Google it because I literally think I just butchered that, and someone is going to make a comment about that.
Okay, I'm hoping the tiebreakers are still a thing. So what is that? Is it games won, control points, army points destroyed? Hopefully
Yep.
it's all that then. Okay, let's. I think that should be option 1, and then your ship captain
And
crew can be
ship
the
captain
option 2.
crew.
That's option
Let's see.
2.
All right. So you roll 3 dice 3 times to determine the final score. On their turn, a player will try to roll a 6 for the ship, a 5 for the captain, and 4 for the crew. These numbers, when rolled, are set aside and are not rolled by the player again, except that they must be rolled in order. So if the roll results in a 5 and a 4, they cannot keep it until they roll a 6. So you have to get your ship first before you can get your captain and your crew. So that's how you go and win.
So
That's
what
ship
happens if you
captain crew.
roll? What happens? Okay, I was about to say, what happens if you roll all ones all the time? Like that's how I
Well,
play
that's
my
why you
game.
only get 3 tries, right? You get 3 tries, and then whoever has the highest score at the end of it wins.
Okay,
Ship
no, that's
captain crew.
interesting. All right, I dig it.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, but most likely we'll do a tiebreaker, right? What's inside the scenario pack, which I assume they have those.
Yeah.
Um, again, yeah, we're I wish we could see the rules beforehand, but unfortunately we can't. Because it's given Paul and I a little bit of anxiety, right? We need to find out, like what terrain to have, anything extra. But yeah, we're gonna make this work as best we can. There's a good chance that there might be a lot of pink hills. I've been currently trying to cut up foam to make the 1-inch platforms, so we again have nice 3D terrain. I'm gonna do everything I can to try to get some of them painted up, but I still haven't finished cutting the
Yeah.
hills. I think
You know what that
I've
sounds like? If they're gonna be all pink, it's like when you play like those old video games and like the textures don't load in.
yeah, it just hasn't it hasn't textured properly yet. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
that's funny.
All right, so we've talked about PAX Unplugged for about half an hour. I know people are super excited about it. So now I guess we can jump into talk more about Dusk,
I'm
which
excited.
I know Paul you're super excited about, and I'm trying to convince Gaston that this is the army he should play to the point where I literally thought about buying him the box set just so it can get him started.
Hey, is Sam
Aw.
watching right now?
I think Sam is still on now.
Sam, go grab your box, man. Come on.
Like I've been trying, right? Gaston, I want you to play this game. I want you to enjoy this with me. And because of that I've thought about this, buying this for you. It was,
That's really
it
sweet
was
of you.
both. It was our birthdays. I mean, I haven't, so I'm not that sweet, but I thought about it at least.
What's the thought that counts?
Yeah, it's true. But because of that, right, we got Paul on and then Gaston, right? I know Gaston, you've been looking at. I know the app was having issues for you for a little bit. But I'm gonna hand it off to you guys to kind of talk about Dusk, like what your thoughts are. Last time we talked, I don't even think the rules were out yet. So kind of seeing what Dusk is shaping up to be like and how different it is from Ret. I think they're really cool. I actually thought about getting into the faction myself because it looks so cool.
Well, the thing is that you should get into the faction because it's well established in pretty much every setting that elves are just plain better than normal people.
Wow.
What?
That is
You ain't wrong though. I mean, I have Rhett and Scorn, so I have elves both, in the forest and in the desert, so I'm alright with that.
Think about this. You have these elves, and they're just smarter than you and faster than you, and they can shoot like magical dicks out at you. But they're always been soft and weak. You know what's not soft and weak? Zombies.
it's true.
So why
Vampire
don't we have the
zombies.
zombies bite the elves?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Zombies.
They're more
Problem
like
solved.
vampires.
Yeah,
This is
they're
synergy.
they're
They're definitely
eldritch.
vampires.
Oh, whatever. No one gives a shit. It's fantasy crap.
I was
I'm like
saying
sitting
because
here
their
like
abilities are
watching the
like
Lord
blood
of the Rings
drinker.
show, and I'm like butchering. I'm like, oh look, it's a Balrog. It'll go beat up Gandalf.
Oh my god,
I'm terrible at fantasy stuff.
I can tell.
But I'm gonna go ahead and say that at least for Dusk, because like when we were doing our privateer press things, we interviewed Lauren for it, and I told her like because of everything I didn't understand, I didn't know, I don't think like Mark IV was announced at the time. We just saw like Signar was getting stuff and Kador was getting stuff. And it's just like, oh, like we thought at least thought it was like the factions as is, right? Like old Kador, Legacy Kador, Legacy Signar, what to go call it that. But it's like, I'm hoping out for my Iosans, and he's like, oh, you're gonna be excited. I'm like, oh. So this is beyond what I was expecting. Yeah, I'm a little sad that Rhett is kind of a done chapter, or at least of what I had like was done. But I mean, if this is my option going forward, like I'm happy about it. I'm really, really excited. The models look flippin' amazing. Like they're great. Like I can't stop looking at them. Like I actually pulled up the Dusk preview art like right now, just all the stuff that they have like in that one insider article that they did a while ago.
See, weirdly, like that's kind of where I diverge. Is legitimately, I think from a rules perspective, this is the best design faction of the Mark IV factions they've released. Like by and far, it is of the battle boxes that we've seen. If you compare just battle box to battle box, it is the best.
So
I
It's
think
the one you should play.
I think it's just because it's different. Like it's very different from everything else because it's like, well, I mean, for one, the heavies have the back gun weapon option, which none of the other lights or the heavies have in your Orgoth, Wintercore, or Storm Legion at that point. And then also, I think what is it? They all have the life drinker. What is it called? They kill a thing and they like that. That's like their shtick. They're vampires. That you kill something and they heal. So it's very much like this is the faction.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't know how much your caster is going to be seeing combat because usually, at least when I play them, they kind of hide in the back like a scared little child.
Hmm.
So to me, that one kind of like is like a flavor rule. But where I do like kind of diverge is I actually don't like the Jack design. I think they look kind of mushy.
So
But
it's weird. The Jack design, when I first saw them, I kind of got vibes of Warcaster. But then the
yep.
more I look at it, though, here's my personal take on it, because I know I saw the new Signar stuff, the new Kador stuff, and this was 5 years after, the Orgoth invasion and what have you. And I kind of keep telling myself that technology evolves or technology changes. I mean, like how much has like the smartphones have changed within the last 5 years? And you like go take a look at those features and stuff, like they're very, very different. So I think the like accepting that and looking at the aesthetic, like I'm very much a fan of it because it still looks like I can still see Ios like in this. Like yeah, they're like gray and like a gunmetal silver kind of color, but I can still see like the major beats that it hit with all like my what are they called, the myrmidons that I had.
And I look at it so that, like I don't mind that they look like techno or whatever, like Warcaster. But I
Mhm.
have the same issue with Warcaster that I did with like in Infinity. You have Aleph, I believe is Aleph, something like that. Is like if you hang around like game designers and artists a lot, for long enough amount of time, you'll hear them talk about like the idea of silhouettes. Like you should be able to look at the silhouette of a Khador jack and know that it's Khador. You should be able to look at the silhouette of a Signar jack. You see kind of the rounded edges. I look at the silhouettes of these jacks and I can't see something distinctive there. It looks, and this is a problem I have with other model design ranges too, is just look mushy. That's why I call it mushy. I don't have a fantastic vocabulary. I'm kind of an idiot. So
Are you saying that's mushy because like it's very rounded and sleek?
it's like the arms kind of blend in to the jack, the head's kind of tucked in there. It doesn't have a silhouette that's kind of striking and unique to itself.
It's interesting.
Everything kind of fades together, and I have the same problem actually with Orgoth too.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned that because I think back to like with the red because everything was like so sleek. I like go back to like the Shail heavies like the Manticore, your Phoenix, your Hydra, like the shoulder pads on there, they're like World of Warcraft style, right? They're like the huge
yeah.
ones that like, and it's very much like like that's distinctive to their look. And I think here because it's more sleek, it's more rounded, you don't have that kind of look to it. I don't know. It might also be the color palette that they're using. But
I do not like that color palette.
So
I think you could do better.
well, really
I
quick.
mean, it's black and yellow. I mean, I'm all right with that. Or the dark green yellow. Like, I
Yeah,
like it.
no, I like it. See, and Steven has to point out, right? The dusts are a really nice mix of Shield and the Vire
Yeah.
Myrmidons, which is nice. Yeah, they are a nice mixture of the two of them. It's like they melded together, did a little fusion dance.
Yeah.
I love the paint scheme. I can't believe you don't even like the paint scheme of it. That is like super easy to paint too. That's like your bread and butter, man.
I only paint my elves pink. I think we've established this over multiple games and editions.
No, I know, but like even with your Minoth, right? You just did like a white primer and you were good.
You know,
yeah,
I
The
think
gold.
what
Protectorate.
I'm also wondering if like another thing that makes this a little bit weird on why it is not. I mean, going back to like the Myrmidons, is that they were all like pretty much like one color with like the metal like skeleton that they had inside of them. So maybe the fact that they're using two colors is also kind of making it mushy. I guess like with those words, but I don't know. Like I can still see I guess maybe because I played Ret, like I can see the arms, like I can see like how they have like the armor on top of the arm. I can see how like the shoulder pad is being like built up a little bit. So I think it is hitting the beats, at least that I was looking for it, but I can see how it can be divisive. Personally
And
though,
the units themselves look fine from the artwork.
yeah.
It's literally just the jacks, which is
Yeah.
very strange to me.
Yeah, so your only issue is the jacks. That's it.
It's just a visual aesthetic. It's like, at the end of the day, who really cares? You're going to look at them from 3 feet away in their game pieces.
Yeah,
doesn't
but
really
like
matter
that's
what
the
your
reason
artwork looks
why Kevin never wanted to play the greatest faction of Convergence of Sirius because of the aesthetics.
Kevin's
would have done
fancy
great
pants
with.
attitudes just keep holding him back in
I
every
know.
game.
There's a little pinky sticking out, bougie, boozy bitch.
So, yeah, no, I mean, legitimately though, you start looking at like their spell rack. Their spell rack is ridiculous.
So good.
There's a lot of different ways that you can play the faction, which I'm really excited about, or at least from like theory crafting, whether you want to go infantry heavy or like jack heavy in that case. Like I'm excited.
I will
Yeah,
say,
that's
looking at their
just like a
spell
little
rack.
stuff. I'm sorry. Yep.
No, say looking at the spell rack, it does feel like their spell rack is probably one of the best formed and most diverse. It definitely makes me a little bit envious when I look at Signar's rack compared to that one.
So here's my personal take, or at least for the spell rack, is that it's Tyrus, the spiders guy, the samurai looking guy, because he has arcane vortex. You can get ghost walk, you can get revive. I'm like, oh, it's like a little gore shade in there. I'm like, all right, well, let's go see how this guy plays. So and then like looking at his feet, where it's just like everything gets ghostly and they get basically a mirage like across the table. I'm like, okay, so we got a little bit of Lara going on as well, because more or less with boundless charge you would have had like the extra 2 inches. So I'm like, okay, cool. So it's like literally like 2 of those I guess iconic lore like warcasters kind of being blended into one model. I mean that's how I looked at it. Like when that guy plays like or drops, like I'm gonna be playing him all the time. I cannot wait.
Okay, yeah, you're talking about from the spoilers that they showed on they haven't revealed this card yet.
No. Well, I mean,
They
this is
have
the
like 3 of
spoilers.
his
Yes,
abilities from the article.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I figured. I was first like I was like, I don't remember seeing his card, but I do remember from the article. Honestly, I love both their casters. The fact that they have a freaking gun mage style caster makes me so jealous. Like that is
Why?
so cool.
Why?
Because Signar should have it.
But
And her
elves are
feet is
better.
awesome.
Yeah, her feat is awesome. Elves are not better. Elves are not better, even though she has
But
her
they can
she
actually
has
hit
True
things when they
Sight for
shoot
a
their
field
pistol.
marshal. She has Vampiric. She's just so good.
So I
Dispel,
do,
Curious Wounds, or Phantom Seeker, and she has Life Trader ability. She's
yeah. I mean, I
dumb.
do kind of wonder if the true sight on the as a field marshal is a little bit of a trap, just because the jack guns are good, but it's not something that you can really get a lot. It's not like Kador where they have multiple rate of fire, where you can really stack a lot of depth into them. These are going to be, I feel like, utility guns.
I think that you're
And
right because that's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think you're right because at least with how at least like my experience with the Ret, like you have those high quality guns and they're more like scalpels where you're going to go put it into the target that you need to go ahead and get removed. So I think that it still fits with that flavor of just high target priority. Like now I can definitely make sure I can hit that guy.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, momentum was ridiculously good in Mark II, is ridiculously good in Mark III, and it's going to be ridiculously good in Mark IV. But what's kind of interesting is now you have these goofy, terrible scenarios that they came up with, and then you have this vortex cannon, which is more or less the Mark IV analog of the demon's gun, which the demon had I feel like, kind of a rocky time in Mark III. It kind of had some upswings, it kind of had some downswings, it kind of had some even lower swings, and then it went lower than that. But now that you have kind of the reworked AoE, you have the reworked blast damage, you're looking at dropping this POW 10 on 3 models. You start combining that with like Curse of Shadows to make them all POW 12s. You add in Future Sight so you can kind of boost after the fact. And you can start picking out those bannermen for these things. You can start picking out those models that do the take up, those solos. And now you're kind of getting that anti scenario play off that gun. And that's a really intriguing niche use for that gun that I think could see some play.
And really, like I mean, like you're talking about that model and the fact that the heavy has the I can upkeep spells for free, so you can throw like admonition on it like turn one, and that way, like let's say that you botch your shot. Well, if you're trying to, if that unit comes in and tries to swing at you, you could potentially move away from it, so you're not going to be actually like attacked by it, or you're not going to get those. Actually, I don't know when was it admonition would proc. It would be before all of them get placed, but like looking at the timing of that, you'd even be able to keep that heavy safe as well. So no, she's great. Like just wonderful options all the way around.
Let's see,
And like,
ammunition. When any model advances and ends its movement or is placed within 6 inches, I think part of the movement is that the model moves, all the models are put down, and then I don't know.
You have
I'd
to
have
go.
to see the timing.
So it's weird because it yeah, it's the same issue with like defensive strike where if a model moves in, then I think the defensive strike procs before the rest of things take place. I don't know if somebody's watching can like pull up that rule somewhere. I don't know. That's something that needs to be fixed, but if that's the time that works with defensive strike, I think it would work in the same as admonition. So you could just yeet backwards, and yeah, you'll take 3 weapon attacks, but then you'll be what is it? You're going to be just not charging bonuses, so.
and I
Okay.
mean, can we sit there and talk about combining admonition with the was it infiltration command card? So now you have admonition and stealth. So you walk up, you get within 6 inches of me, I pop stealth, I walk away outside of 5 inches of you, and you cannot shoot me.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it really. It's good. I mean, I'm jealous. Again, I'm jealous of that.
Yeah. I'm also really liking, I mean, like I'm going back to just the article itself. It's just neat that the models that they're releasing are also hitting beats of stuff that we've seen in the past. So it's not like completely foreign stuff like what is it, the Slayers, I think, or the big axe guys. They're more or less, I think they're gonna basically be wardens, the Eloir wardens, and then you got the archers, which are your Stormfall archers at that point. So it's just everything about this faction, it's just nice. It's familiar. It's moving forward, even lore wise, like it's kind of friendlier. Like I yeah. It's great.
Well, and I think it goes back to right. If you compare this one and you compare Storm Legion, like it is really clear that like these are just evolutions of what the previous army was, right? Like
Mhm.
Storm. I mean, they still have the Storm Blades, and instead of Storm Guard, they had the Legionnaires, and now you see the exact same change, and from Retribution to Dusk, kind of what these models are turning into. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's great, right? Because effectively, it's hey, these are like the new hotness, which is great, and let's just keep running with it. Like you still have these familiar items that if you really want to, or if you don't want to buy the new army, you could probably just convert the shit out of your old Retribution to make these. You probably only really need to pick up the cash. Well, I guess yeah, you could wait till the cash come out separately and pick them up separately if you really want to.
I mean, also, like, it's funny you're talking about, kind of the evolution from Retribution into Dusk is they knocked out that heavy infantry real quick. They're like, we're not having, 15 years of people complaining about no heavy infantry.
That's true. They did. Yeah, they even did that for Signar, which is great. Like they brought out heavy infantry real fucking fast, which is awesome.
No one cares about
That
heavy
was actually one
infantry
of the
for
things with
Sigmar.
that was the thing with Red, where I'm like, I want heavy infantry or like a second or heavy cal or no light calv, but I ended up getting the Warrens. Like, yes, they're so great. Like, played them all the time.
Everyone wanted Thyron to have buddies.
They did. They did. So my only issue right now, right, is that I'm just looking at the models, and I'm guessing it's still the same with yours, Gaston, as the the Eidolon, whatever the heavy jack. I still can't read his back stuff. There's
Yeah,
like
so there's
five
a
things
issue
that have
with the app.
popped up, and it's all saying left and back. Back weapons are not displayed properly. Dust blade, and it's showing the dust blade on there, the force shield, another and light null blade. So I'm guessing that those are 5 different weapons they can get on their back, which seems pretty cool.
No,
It's
so
the back
the
and the
thing
left
is
arm.
that one of them, yeah, one's the arms, and the other two were supposed to be for the guns. So I think when they did the original build, you only get a left and a right arm, but because of how these guys are set up, they didn't have it programmed, I guess, to do the back. So they basically are giving the left like 2 times. You have 2 left options until they finally figure out how to actually create it back. That's my guess on why it's looking the way that it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly because I was just trying to work out what's the cheapest one I can take so I can spam them. Not because that's what I do.
But it's because what you do.
It is kind
Well,
of what I do.
Well, I think that I don't know that was fixed before, but I think that I might not be saying this correctly, but I think the point values when it like showed you how much the Eidolon was, I don't like the point values were very cheap for what you got. I'm like, this seems like not right. And
Yeah.
but then eventually because once you add the second weapon in there, like it's now like a 14, 15 point jack. I'm like, okay, cool. This sounds like a heavy now instead of it being like 10, 11, 12 or what it was before.
So in the app, at least they're kind of showing like, I don't know if this is how, but they have the numbers next to them, 9 and 13. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's like the min and the max.
No,
That
those
it,
are like averages, I believe.
No, those are the min and the max. They should be
Those
the
are
min
the
and the max.
Minimax?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
that's what you can build with them.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking at like the 9 point guy, you got Force Barrier, you got a POW 17 Null Blade. You start taking that guy with Hazard, is what I'm calling him.
hmm
You're getting +2 speed, you're getting Shadowmancer, so now that blade's up to a POW 19, you can get up to POW 21 if you stack on Curse of Shadows. You can get another +2 speed if you stack on Apparition onto it. This
That's
this little
ridiculous.
9 point guy is pretty dirty. Oh, and he's gonna
You,
have stealth, so suck it.
So and that's what's kind of hard. Like that is ridiculous. Like the most expensive model is going to be is 13 points.
it's not going to
That's
be 13 points. I don't know. It's not. So again, so if you go take a look at the Eidolon, I don't think it's actively. If you put it in the head, I'm going to do a right arm. We'll do the Dawn Blade. I'll do this weapon and that
See, I
weapon.
was taking the Null Blade.
Yeah, so no, the Eidolon can get up to like 17 points, like at that in there. So I think it's you have to make sure that you're putting in the different weapons and they're like
And
the back
and
weapons.
that's what's killing me is the app on me
Yeah.
is not showing me the cost of those weapons.
Yeah, so like I mean like I don't know if you can like see it in there, but it's like it's gonna be like a 17 point check at that point. So yeah. I yeah.
I don't know, man.
I was
I
really
take them as
happy.
cheap as possible. I take as many as possible.
I mean, when I was looking at it, I'm like, I was looking at the gas. I'm like, I get a halberd and a spear, and I give him fleet. Oh, I get little griffins now. All right, cool. This is perfect. It's
That is
familiarity.
that is ridiculous. Okay, I see it now. So the back options and everything. Yeah, see,
I
it's just
I have to
pulling
say
really
though, at
weird.
least with the app, have you seen that if you send app feedback, they now give you a screen of like things that we know that we are trying to fix. So please stop. Like, don't send any more feedback about this.
I haven't seen that yet. No, I haven't posted any feedback in a little bit.
Yeah, if you do,
Everyone needs to spam them to fix this, just over and over.
Just constantly to fix this so we can see it.
The
Yeah.
only thing that matters is Dusk players.
I get, but I mean, what I'm getting at though is that you can see that there are certain things that they're aware of that they're trying to fix. So I think one of the big ones was like the sliders for tracking damage in like your war beast. Like the Jax is fine. You can kind of like do your thumb with it, but I find with the spiral is really difficult to drag your finger across. So they're trying to get the War Room 2 slider back in there. So that's gonna be nice when that feature ends up getting back in there.
That'll be. Oh, I see it now. Yeah, card issues. Known issues: damage tracking slider, better control, expanding selections, Android device, back button not usable. Who cares about Android devices? I'm kidding. For anyone who has Android devices,
I'll kill
except
you.
for Gaston, I really don't care about your Android device.
I'm just like to point out that my phone is $400 and your phone was $4,000.
Yeah, probably. That's why it works well.
Let's not mention all the problems Apple's had.
Hey, my shit's been great. All right. So we only got about 8 or so minutes left in the conversation, right? So obviously we can always end a little bit early. We went pretty long last time, but so kind of we'll jump off to you. What are your final thoughts with Paul specifically? What are your final thoughts with Dusk so far?
I mean, again, I'm on Team Elf, so as soon as I saw that this is an option, I'm excited about it. So I'm jumping in full bore. I have my dust box. Was able to pick it up at Warfare Weekend. Had Eric and Andy. They were able to go and get it for me. So I was really appreciative. So shout out to them. Like, thank you again so much. It's still like unassembled up there because I've been like working on all the terrain and stuff. But as soon as
man.
we're done with as soon as we're done with PAX, I'm like gonna rip that box open and put them together. Like they look great. The chain blade guy just like getting the Mage Hunter Assassin blade on there. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Like I love it. So the models are great, the rules are great. Like I'm 100% on board. So yeah, it's not like the lore of Retribution, right? We're not like elves hunting down humans anymore. We're now trying to find our place in the world and go fight the Orgoth, but I'm okay with it. It's fine. It's great.
I love it. Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of excited about too, right? At least you can see the story evolve, and I really want to see more of this, right? Like I want to see more about the lore. I know we won't get it for probably another month or two, but I want to see more of that. I want to see like, hey, this is how it's expanded, right? What specifically are they doing, dealing with like these different issues now that they're trying to get more and more integrated? Like, what more are we gonna see? I'm so excited for that. So I guess before we jump into Gaston and asking him, Paul, so it's a question we always ask people, right? Is where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10 with Mark IV excitedness? Me, I've been at a 10 for a very long time. I did waver a little bit, just because I really want to see what's going on with the steamroller, but I'm back to a 10, right? I'm excited. I'm back to a
He
10.
went down to a 9.95.
I did. I did. It's like what were the old things with like I stopped believing Journey's gonna be so pissed at me. I stopped believing for half a second and went to a 9.95. Gaston I think is still a 4, something like that.
Still 4.
Still a 4. So Paul, where are you at on the range of 1 to 10 excitement about Mark IV?
So I'll preface this for a little bit. When we did our first Mark IV like test game, I was probably at like a 4 or a 5 my first time playing it. When it was
Wow.
like Andy and I like well, it's just because it was so different. Like the movement was weird. I was also playing Crix, which I don't play normally, so that might have been another reason with it. Because I'm like learning models and rules and stuff. But every Tuesday, like playing a game and like, okay, cool. This is what I do next time. Playing a game, okay, this is what I do next time. I'm at a 10. Like the game's still Warmachine. It's still the 2d6 system. You still get your warlocks, warcasters, you get your war beasts and war. It's still the game that we know what it was. It is faster. There are different things you have to go kind of play around and plan for, but the more you play, the you're just going to kind of get used to it. So no, I'm 100% on a 10 on this. I love this game. It's great.
So I'm not going to ask this question for Gaston, but I will ask this question to you. If what we saw, let's say theoretically, right, what we saw Warfare Weekend was the Steamroller packet, how would you feel at that point? Would you still be a 10 out of 10?
I mean, like it's different. So what is it? The gamers hate two things, change and the way things are. So we're not going to like it because it's completely different. Um, I know that I mentioned it that I think that there might be some more polishing that needs to be done. Like I think the kill the messenger, there was like some exploit that we were able to find out that if you had your messenger die and then you had an ambushing unit like walk off on the other side of the board, then you're fine. So I mean, it's those little things like, okay, we need to go and fix that. Hoist the colors, you probably need some line of sight blocking things so you're not just shooting at each other all game. Again, I like where the head is at, and I like the direction that it's going. I mean, I'll adapt to it. I'll continue to play my game, and it gives me an opportunity to make pretty terrain. So I'm all right.
That's fair. That's fair. Gaston, where are you at with Dusk?
I think they are, and this is just the battle box. I didn't really go down into the article with all the kind of the 3 rules per model because until you start getting like the actual stats and everything, it's not easy enough for me to kind of dig into and play with.
Yep,
I think
understand
they're
that.
probably easily one of the deepest, most configurable of the 4 Mark IV factions. I think they have the most options that are legitimate. Like, I've talked previously about there kind of being this kind of false options.
Yeah.
I think this has kind of the fewest of the false options. Like, you have actual configuration choices within the jacks that I think we're kind of missing, I think, from like particularly the Kador. There's just, no, you take this. This is the correct build. Take this and be done. I don't think that's necessarily the case with Dusk. There is a lot more double stacking of stats in Dusk that you do not see in the other ones, where you get the Shadow Mancer, the Dark Shroud, and the Curse of Shadows for the -4. You get the Apparition and the Escort for the +4. You're seeing a whole lot more of that than you are anywhere else in the game, and that's kind of interesting, and I wonder how much that's going to kind of feed into their power level. But I think if you were to jump into this game, and if you're kind of a competitive mindset player, you need to seriously consider just going to Dusk. And that's going to hurt a little bit because you don't have all the units and stuff. And obviously, like right now, you ain't playing scenario. You are assassinating someone or you're wiping their army, and that's kind of your game. You need to actually have units and things like that to play the game. But at the moment, right now, just from battle box group to battle box group to battle box group, setting aside the units, they're by far the winner of Mark IV. By
That's
far.
fair. That's fair. I mean, I think they're really neat, right? I'm still gonna keep my Signar because obviously I love my boys in blue, but it definitely made me stutter. And when I looked at Dust, they are very cool looking. I like them aesthetically as well. I think aesthetically they look great. Rules look absolutely phenomenal. So that being said, we have hit 9:30, which we are gonna wrap up. We're gonna have any last words. So first we'll do our Gaston, and then we'll jump over to our guest Paul. So Gaston, any last words before we jump off?
Yeah, I got the opportunity to attend PAX a few years ago during the heady days of Mark III. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal thing to go to, a phenomenal event. As much as like Philly can burn to the ground, I hate that city. And all of its sports teams, totally nothing to do with the sports teams go nationals. Um, they have some great things just right in that immediate area, especially if you're into like karaoke bars or if you're into like weird underground sewers for eating food. They have one of those there. I mean, it is Philly.
It is
So
Philly.
if you haven't been, it's just a fantastic time. Like I suck at RPGs, and I actually went there and tried a bunch of RPGs. Like I'm literally like the worst role player at all, and I was just like blown away by just the sheer creativity of the people who had their different displays there. it is just a great time. I highly recommend going. If you're going to play, if you're not going to play, just wander the hall. It's fantastic, and obviously go see our good friends Tony and Paul, or as I like to call them, TP.
Jesus Christ. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Paul, you got any last words for us before we sign off?
Oh man, there's so all right. Well, I'll go ahead and say if you haven't heard of Tried and True, the podcast, we are on YouTube. So if you search us up, we have lots of cool stuff. We're having Mark IV battle reports coming. We're getting the podcast episodes out. We're currently talking internally about doing a how to play Mark IV set of videos. So as soon as the rules drop, we'll have those. So if you have a friend who's interested and share that, it'd be great. Tony, this has been a great time. Gaston, it was great meeting you. And Kevin in the background, thank you so much for making sure the audio was all set and good. No, this has been great. I'm looking forward to PAX. It's going to be great. One other thing is that just keep in mind that it's right across, I think, the Reading terminal. So good
Yes.
food as well. So go get yourself some good food as well if you're out there. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you.
Yep. Yeah, guys, and I can't say enough with everyone that's watching. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you come to PAX Unplugged. Like Gaston and what Paul said, PAX is really fun. I'm gonna go up Friday and Saturday. I might be there Sunday. I'm not positive. Usually I do 2 days, and then by the third day I'm just burned out. Ton of great role-playing games. There's a bunch of card games to play. So many vendors up there. It's really exciting. There's new games to play. I'm a huge supporter of PAX Unplugged. I've been going every single year that's been open, which has been really nice. So I've got to see it evolve, and I hope it continues on. So yeah, even if you don't come to play, at least stop by and say hi to us at some point and just talk to us, right? Especially if you're excited about the game, but you really didn't want to come out and play, that's fine. Come and talk to us about it, right? So we know that if there's other things we could have done to get more excitement, we know what to do for next year.
I do have a suggestion for you.
Yes, what do I want to hear the suggestion?
Team TP T-shirts.
All right, we'll do Team TP t-shirts next time. If you come and wear one, you have to come.
It'll be a cutoff.
Okay, it'll be just right below the the nips.
Yep.
All right,
Maybe a
perfect. If
slip.
I get that, you got to come and show up then.
We can do it.
Okay. Well, it should be TPK because Kevin's gonna be there as
No,
well.
you're just trying to ruin it.
Kevin's gonna be there as well.
He can be the one throwing the TP.
Okay, fine.
Like he
all right.
throws all his games.
With that being said, thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Turn Extension. Have a great night.
Take care, guys.